Hey guys, today is August 25. It is a Monday. It's currently 1400 and I hope everybody's having a good day. I just want to make a video. I was in a debate today, but I pointed out reading Ezekiel. I've been studying the Bible for the past 3 years, but this is just my own, what do you call it? I guess dissertation of what this book actually portrays, which is basically consistent throughout the Bible, which is it basically portrays that there is a God, there is a creator. I do believe in intelligent design. I believe in a creator. I believe that we're not here by accident. I believe that we are purposely created here. Prior to becoming a believer, a true believer, I guess, 3 years ago, I was into a lot of video games. I was into video games, strategy games, which is basically consistent with biblical concepts. The concepts of resurrection, right? You're spawning. Once you die, you spawn back. You come back to life. This is delineated in the Book of Ezekiel, where there's a creator who sees the whole earth the same way when you play a real-time strategy like Age of Empires 4 or Civilization 7 or Europa Universalis 4. What's the other one? Strongholds, the Stronghold series, Empire Earth. So popular. I think the other one's called Populist. There's games like Caesars, Supreme Commander, StarCraft. So it is consistent throughout real-time strategy genre. That's what the Bible actually portrays, that there's a creator who has a bird's eye view of everything that's happening. Again, I'm a theist. This video is not for atheists. This is not an apologetic for atheism. This is just the fact. This is how we, as a theist, this is how we see our reality. It is consistent in the scriptures about this reality, that there is a creator who sees everything. The book of Proverbs, he has his eyes on both the evil and the good. His eyes is everywhere. And so I just point out this Ezekiel shows that the world is a real-time strategy, like this real-time strategy video game. This is a response from Google AI. Let's see what it says here. So the claim that Ezekiel shows the world is a real-time strategy is not a standard theological interpretation, but rather a modern speculative analogy, which is what I'm doing. The comparison is not biblically or historically supported. It can be drawn from the book's description of divine sovereignty, meticulous planning, and all-seeing perspective, which echo elements of real-time strategy video games. So my whole supposition for this video is that we are living in a real-time strategy reality. That's what I believe. Which is obviously is the way governments run things, the way there needs to be an authority figure. We have kings, we have monarchs, but as a theist, I just believe there is a higher power, which basically should make everybody happy, because it shows that we're not living in a hyper-normalized reality. If you want to look into a hyper-normalized reality by Adam Curtis, shows you that in a hyper-normalized reality you are ruled by the elite, who has a lot of power, has a lot of energy. But in a theist reality, we are ruled by a even more powerful entity. Okay, so you don't just have Hitler, Stalin, Saddam Hussein running things. It's actually, there's a higher power above them, known as the King of Kings. It says in the Psalm 47, chapter 47, verse 2, that God is a king and that he's actually the ultimate ruler. He actually Obviously, we know his properties, his omniscience, omnipresent, and omnipotent, which is consistent throughout the Bible. And that is the main basis of the Bible, is that God is an all-powerful being which knows the past, present, and future. If you look at Revelation, it says God knows God who was, who is, and who is coming, according to the four beasts, the six-winged beast in the book of Revelation, I believe chapter 4. We continue with the AI description of my my proposition here, a divine player. So here's some of the elements described in the book of Ezekiel. Again, I'm not really going to go into Ezekiel, but let me first quote why I came into this position. It says here in Ezekiel 4, chapter 1, Son of man, take thee a tile, lay it before thee, and portray upon it the city of Jerusalem. So this just shows you, I'm not going to go through all these, but it's basically God has a bird's eye view of what's happening, and he's telling them there's going to be an invasion, and there's going to be an invasion because they were sinning against the Almighty. They basically God is telling the prophet Ezekiel to give a message to the people of Israel because they were sinning against them. So, here are some of the elements of real-time strategy as described in the book of Ezekiel. A divine player with a macro perspective. The divine player is God. The analogy central idea is that God acts as the ultimate player with a complete view of the world, which serves as the battlefield. That corresponds to the God's eyes view of the game map in a real-time strategy. So the scriptures portrays him as a sovereign commander. This is consistent. This corroborates the book of Exodus, where God is a Lord of war. He's a commander in battle. God is portrayed as the supreme commander throughout the book of Ezekiel. He frequently declares, and you will know that I am the Lord. So this emphasizes God's authority and control over human history events. Controlling units and outcomes. God orchestrates the rise and fall of nations, similar to an RTS player moving units. God tells Ezekiel that he puts a hook in the jaws of the prince of Rosh to bring him to battle against Israel, which is entirely under his control. And he responds to players' actions. Game theory has been used to analyze God's actions in the Bible, such as the story of Jonah. God may respond to a player's decision, even if it's not God's original preference, which makes sense. Because in the judgment of the Canaanites, when God was judging the Canaanites, God told the prophet Moses that his people were sacrificing children. It did not come to his mind, neither did it come to his thoughts. I believe that's in Jeremiah. But basically, God did not tell them to do these things. They decided to follow a false god and sacrifice children. Another point here that I want to point out. Yes, in Ezekiel it says that God says that all souls belongs to him. So this is another element of the real-time strategies, that behold, all souls are mine, the souls of the Father and the souls of the Son is mine. That soul that sinneth, it shall die. That's Ezekiel 18, chapter 18, verse 4. A detailed and ever-changing game map, Ezekiel's prophecies involved a vast and complex divine plan that unfolds in real-time history. The details of this plan reflects the changing state of the game board, the nation of Israel. I just want to comment first that and at real-time strategy, it's real time. Genesis 1:14 basically states that the time was created when God created the stars and the sun and the moon, and they serve as to divide the day from the light, and let them be for signs and seasons and 4 days. And we know this is true based on Newtonian mechanics, the Kepler, the laws of Kepler, and the theory of relativity, which is basically that time is a relative, it's movements of objects in relation to one another. That's what time is, which is amazing. It's in the Bible. A spiritual game engine. The vision of the divine chariot throne in Ezekiel 1 is a theological engine that powers the entire game. In Ezekiel, I love how the AI pointed this out. There's this omnidirectional movement. The chariot has 4 faces, always facing forward, the wheels that move without turning. This represents God's swift, omnidirectional, transcendent sovereignty over all creation. Intricate mechanics. The description of the living creatures and their intersecting wheels echoes a computer program or a game engine's complex mechanics. The wheels are full of eyes, suggesting an all-knowing, all-seeing power at the universe heart. The spirit of driving action. The spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels, suggesting that the Holy Spirit is the animating force driving all the events and movements described in prophecy. And I just want to bring something out from that, which is really cool. Bruce Lee actually wrote a book called The Tower of Jeet Kune Do, and I want to point out something here that corroborates with this. Let me just pull it up if I can remember it. In Tower of Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee talks about how the spirit, during his research, he found that the spirit, let me pull it up real quick. I don't know if I could find it. Okay. Let's see if I can find the highlight. It's a very big book, but it's somewhere. Let's see where it is. There's a lot of proverbs here. I must have highlighted. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time here, but I just want to. What is that? Craziness. There you go. The spirit is no doubt the controlling agent of our existence. And this is in page 201 of the Tower of Jeet Kune Do. The spirit is no doubt the controlling agent of our existence. And this is taught in scripture, that there's a spiritual realm involved. There's a spirit that guides events, that move, that works in people. This is consistent in the Bible, such as the Book of Judges, the Book of Kings. There is a spiritual force that causes people to act. I think it's in Revelation that he created all things, and because of God we have our being. Let me actually I think it's in Revelation, right? Yeah, it's the same thing. Revelation basically states that it's very hard to Yeah, it says here, "You are worthy, O Lord, to receive glory, honor, and power, for you have created all things, and for thy pleasure, and they were created." And I think it might be in chapter 6. We have, okay, no, it's not here. Anyways, let's talk about conclusion. Basically, the comparison between Ezekiel's vision and real-time strategy game illustrates the biblical themes of divine providence, sovereignty, and meticulous planning. The theological basis for this analogy lies in Ezekiel's account of a sovereign God who directs all world events from a high-level perspective, moves nations and people as part of a larger plan. This is very consistent with in the book of Deuteronomy and the book of Amos, where God says He's guiding all these nations. He led the Syrians from Kir. He led the Caphtorites from Caphtor, moved them to Philistine, and the people of the Hebrew people from the land of Egypt. And then all the other nations He drove out, like the Canaanites, the Amorites, and who were driven by the people of Esau, and God taking the people of Lot away from the city of Sodom, moving the Hebrews to take over the land of the Canaanites, to repel the Jebusites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, all the people that were living there. God decided to throw them out of the land. This also corroborates the manifest destiny, which when the Puritans moved to the American continent and they moved out the Native American population. Okay, so you can see that based on his historic events. It also says in the scriptures that He determines the borders, and that He brings kings and rulers from their thrones, according to Luke 1, chapter 1, verse 54. He calls the Egyptian people His people. He calls the Ethiopians, and God said that people will worship Him all over the world, which we can see it is. People from all over the world worships the one true God. And He uses a powerful all-knowing force, the Spirit, to drive the action. But framing these concepts in terms of an RTS game, a modern audience can grasp the complexity and scale of God's interaction with the world as described in the Book of Ezekiel.